So, in the middle of the lockdown here in the UK, the 3rd, 4th, I don't know what. But as subsequent to that, I'm spending a lot of time working from home and also recording courses, video courses for Udemy and Skillshare. So I've been spending quite a bit of time trying to get this office space presentable. And I've got it to a point where I'm pretty happy with it. I think it's okay. But one thing's happened as I've cleared all the mess away from my desk. I'm left with these big bundles of wires which connect between the two parts of this ErgoDox keyboard here. Got this big piece here, and then also there's a big sort of lump of cable that goes from the ErgoDox to the monitor where it's plugged in. So I remember seeing a post on the ErgoDox newsletter that gets published, which incidentally is a great newsletter regardless of whether you like ergonomic keyboards or not. And there's a guy called Andreas Tack who he'd taken the cables of his ErgoDox and he'd actually coiled them. So I decided that would be a good thing to try out and try and get these coiled and make a better job of making these wires more presentable and in keeping with what I've got going on. So what I believe I need to do this is I've got a wooden dowel. This is actually a drumstick from a previous failed hobby. Then I've also got some heat resistant tape. I've got a old wooden chopping board that I'm going to use, and then if you've got a hairdryer you could use a hairdryer. Obviously, as you might imagine, a hairdryer is not the sort of thing I have lying around very often. Don't have much call for it. So you could use a heat gun, and just in case you're in any doubt, it's got the label very handily there, just in case you thought it was a banana or something like that. So I'm going to take the keyboard apart, take the cables apart, and then I'll show you how we get this done. Okay, so I've got my cable detached here, and what I'm going to do is I want to leave a sort of length of this cable straight at the beginning that's going to go away from the keyboard. Then I want my coiled section, and then I want another bit at the other end which is straight as well, because that's going to go straight up to the monitor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start about there with that nice and straight, and I'm going to start my taping off there. So this is the heat resistant tape, and quite honestly it would probably be fine just with normal electrical tape, but I figured what the hell. So I'm going to just take that round there, and I'm going to just seal that off. So now the trick is, from this point I want to coil sort of away. Let me just get this right now. Yeah, so I'm going to go around that way, and I believe the trick is to get this, you want these nice and tight, and to make sure there's no, like, you don't want a gap like that between them, so you've got to make sure that they're bunched up nicely, and just take your time squidging around. And with the power of video I'll probably speed this a little bit up for you now, but I'm I wouldn't say hard, but it's been taxing on my dainty little fingers. So at the minute I've got about halfway. Okay, so just back that off a little bit. That's about where I want to get it to. So, and then as you can see, I'm just taping back round the other side. Put a big fat wadge of that stuff on. Wadgy. Okay, so I've now got the area that I want to coil, and you can see there hopefully. Can you get the camera to pull focus? There you go. So nice and tight. Okay, so now we're going to bring in the old heat gun. Now I did wonder about putting gloves on here to make sure I don't deflesh my hands, but I thought it'd actually be quite good to feel a degree of the heat from the heat gun to know whether I'm overheating this cable, because probably not so much a problem if you're using a hairdryer, because it probably wouldn't get too hot, but with a heat gun you're in danger of overheating this and either melting the cable or damaging the cables inside. So I'm hoping that, you know, feeling the heat from that gun will give me a good indicator of how hot it's getting. So let's turn the heat gun on. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do this twice. Gotta make sure I don't melt the keyboard. So it's 8:45 now as I'm doing this, so I'm going to leave that maybe 15 minutes and let it cool down. I'm going to do the same thing again, and given how exciting it was to watch me do that, I'm probably not going to bother showing you that. I'll just skip forward now to the bit where I take the tape off, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we have a decent looking coil on our cable. Right, here we go. I've heated it another time and it's probably cool enough now that I can take this off, so I'm just going to peel off the tape at either end. Okay, so just going to so hopefully you can see there we have a pretty nice coiled cable. So I'm going to go ahead now, do that on the cable that goes between the two parts of the keyboard, and I'll come back at the end and just show you what it looks like with them in situ. There we go, there's the second, the smaller one. You can see it's taken up far less space there. So I'm just going to take off the heat resistant tape. And then you just kind of have to just tease the curls off the dowel a little bit there. So let's just put this together now. So that's that side. Got one of these lovely little right angle USB adapters, so it fits flush with the monitor as well. So let's plug that in. There we go. So I'll just show you another shot of that, but all in all probably took about an hour to get that done for both of them. That includes letting it cool between heating up the two cables, but hopefully you'll agree that's a much neater looking way to see your cables running off, whether they need to go running off whichever direction they need to go. So that's it for me. I'll see you in the next one.